Dogs do not have many advantages over people, but one of them is extremely important. Euthanasia is not forbidden by law in their case. Animals have the right to a merciful death. This is a quote by Malin Kundera. As defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary, euthanasia is the act or practice of killing someone who is very sick or injured in order to prevent any more suffering. However, most know it simply as a mercy killing. The word derived from Greek, meaning easy death. There are 5 types of euthanasia, which include passive, active, voluntary, involuntary, and assisted suicide. Passive euthanasia, as defined by the Grolier Encyclopedia, is when one has the right to refuse life support. Active euthanasia, as defined by Grolier Encyclopedia, is simply assisted suicide, or when the doctor or physician gives one something to quicken his or her death. Voluntary euthanasia is defined as one being put to death at his or her own will. Assisted suicide is when one uses the help of drugs to end his or her own life. Euthanasia has occurred throughout history, starting at the beginnings of the world. There are numerous times when euthanasia has been mentioned in numerous different places, dating back as early as 200 BCE. These cultures include such places as India, Sardinia, and the United States. In India, dating as far back as 200 BCE, it was customary for the elderly, once they began to lose their strength, to be thrown into the river. This act would fall into the category of involuntary euthanasia. Another example in ancient Sardinia in ancient Sardinian history, it was mandatory that the older gentlemen be clubbed to death by their own sons. As time went on, euthanasia began to become more and more common, becoming legal in the United States. Although it began to become more common in numerous cultures, some of the greatest philosophers began to support euthanasia before everyone even began to accept it. These philosophers included such people as Plato, Socrates, Pythagoras. Euthanasia is one of the many things that has been common throughout history. Euthanasia is something that will help not only the patient, but everyone that is dealing with the patient in numerous ways. Firstly, it would help the family tremendously, including being cheaper for the family as well as helping them with their emotions. By ending a loved one's suffering, the family would no longer have to deal with the stress of knowing that he or she is suffering. This would also help the physician and the nurses who have to deal with the patient in the same way. Secondly, it would help other people the patient does not know by opening up more time with the physicians as well as in certain hospitals, especially if the patient is ready for his or her death. Finally, it would help the financial status of the family as well, no longer having to pay for the treatment of the patient. Euthanasia, no matter which type has touched most people in our society, including me. A man named Indian, who was a very close friend of mine, developed cancer in the mouth. As time went on, this man, who would be willing to give you the shirt off of his back if you needed it, would develop cancer so bad that he would be unable to swallow. Because of this great man ended up killing himself, simply because he did not want to suffer anymore. So this man ended up committing suicide using drugs, which would fall under the category of assisted suicide. Thank you.